Today I am going to share you one good text written by Aldous Huxley. It was very much important in Indian subcontinent as far as Indian social domain is concerned. Actually, the text was provided by Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, late Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, in 2001 in our scientific communication course. So I am very much grateful to him. Before this text, I have read few texts of Aldous Huxley, but that this text especially has influenced me a lot. So today I am going to share it with you. Actually, this text is uh, based on the philosophy of or destructive philosophy of masses and how it differs with individual thinking, individual reasoning that is depicted. Okay, so I am going to hear it. You are going to hear it, and I am going to share it. Okay, so here it goes. Individual and masses. A man or woman makes direct contact with society in two ways: as a member of some familial, professional, or religious group, or as a member of crowd. Groups are capable of being as moral and intelligent as the individuals who form them. A crowd is chaotic, has no purpose of its own, and is capable of anything except intelligent action and realistic thinking. Assembled in a crowd, people lose their powers of reasoning and their capacity for moral choice. Their suggestibility is increased to the point where they cease to have any judgment or will of their own. They become very excitable. They lose all sense of individual or collective responsibility. They are subject to sudden excess of rage, enthusiasm, and panic. In a word, a man in a crowd behaves as though he had swallowed a large dose of some powerful intoxicant. He is victim of what I have called hard poisoning. Like alcohol, hard poison is an active, extravagant drug. The crowd intoxicated individual escapes from responsibility, intelligence, and morality into a kind of fanatic animal mindlessness. Reading is a private, not a collective activity. The writer speaks only to individuals sitting by themselves in a state of normal sobriety. The orator speaks to masses of individuals already well primed with hard poison. They are at his mercy, and if he knows his business, he can do what he likes with them. Unlike the masses, individuals have taste for rationality and an interest in facts. Their critical habit of mind makes them resistant to the kind of propaganda that works so well on the majority. Intellectuals are kind of people who demand evidence and are shocked by logical inconsistencies and fallacies. They regard oversimplification as the original sin of the mind and have no use for the slogans, the unqualified assertions, and sweeping generalization which are the propagandist's stock in trade. Philosophy teaches us to feel uncertain about things that seem to us self evident. Propaganda, on the other hand, teaches us to accept as self evident matters about which it would consistently be dogmatic. All his statements are made without qualification. There are no grays in his picture of world. Everything is either diabolically black or celestially white. He must never admit that he might be wrong or what people with different point of view might be even partially right. Opponents should not be argued with, they should be attacked, shouted down, or if they become too much of nuisance, liquidated. Virtue and intelligence belong to human being as individual freely associating with other individuals in small groups. So do sin and stupidity, but the subhuman mindlessness to which the demagogue makes his appeal. The moral imbecility on which he relies when he goads his victims into action are characteristic not of men or and women as individuals, but of men and women in masses. Mindlessness and moral idiocy are characteristically human attributes. They are symptoms of heart poisoning. In all the world's highest religions, salvation and enlightenment enlightenment are for individuals. The kingdom of heaven is within the mind of person, not within the collective mindlessness of crowd. In an age of accelerating overpopulation, of accelerating overorganization and ever more efficient means of mass communication, how can we preserve the integrity and reassert the value of human individual? This is a question that can still be asked and perhaps effectively answered. A generation from now, it may be too late to find an answer and perhaps impossible in the shifting collective climate of the future time, even to ask questions. So that was the text. You can find it in internet in a form of PDF or HTML file. You can read it, you can analyze it, be analytical. So make some questions and please share your views. Okay, thank you.